Hey everybody, this is Tony, and I do stuff. The K1600 has a check engine light. So I'm gonna break out the GS911 and we're gonna find out what's wrong. Okay. Right here I've got some codes, so let's click that, see what we get. Ignition coil cylinder 3 output open circuit. Currently present, no. That's because the engine is not running. Frequency count 104. Logistic healing count 40. I don't know what that means. I guess if it doesn't occur within 40 cycles, it'll clear the code. We'll see. Let's see what else we got. History, odometer readings, engine RPM, record number. It's happened a whole lot. A lot of this stuff I don't even know what it is. But anyway, that jumps right out at me. That right there. Output circuit open. Output circuit sounds like a computer thing. I hope not. Y'all have seen me disassemble this thing before. I've got to get to the spark plugs, which the coils are up here, which means all this stuff's got to go. Go up to this link that I think I'm gonna put up here, and you can watch how I get it off. So through the magic of editing, let me show you what I had to take off, just so you got an idea. A lot of screws, a lot of parts. Anybody ever says that this rock guard, this is the standard rock guard that comes with the BMW, isn't effective? I mean, my radiator just looks great. So that rock guard definitely does the trick. I need to get on top of this head, and there is a plastic scoop or guard that runs the length of the bike up here. Everything in the forums say that you have to drain the cooling system. Well, unfortunately, because of this hard line right here, I do have to drain the cooling system. If that was a rubber flexible line like this, I would be able to pull a few bolts and drop that radiator down enough to get to all this stuff up here. But unfortunately, that is not the case. Through the magic of editing, I'm gonna take all this stuff apart. If I run across any significant issues, I'll show you. But for the most part, I'm gonna be moving clamps, draining fluid, taking bolts off, and dropping this radiator out of my way. This screw here that holds this hard pipe in is coming out really difficult. I'm really getting cold feet about how hard it is to unscrew. Maybe I hit it with some PB Blaster if I ever have to take it out again. This puppy is just coming off of here too hard, and I'm afraid the threads are going to get boogered up. I'm going to remove all of the mounting brackets and just slide the radiator forward out of this soft pipe right here, because this one is swedged on. Come here. Oh well. parts count so far, the radiator, it's 4 hose connections on this radiator. One coming from the cooling pump, one looks like it's going to the top of the engine, one's looks like a recirculation port, and then the port to the expansion tank. There's also some electrical connections. That electrical connection for the fan. Got to make sure that I put all this stuff back. And this piece looks like it has something to do with routing air, making sure it goes through the radiator, and it also holds several connectors. I had to cut some zip ties. I've got to remember to put these things back. They hold auxiliary plugs, the temperature sensor, the auxiliary running lights, the fan. I now have access to the top of the heads so I can get to these plugs. There were some wires up here that were secured with zip ties. I've got to make sure I put all that back, but for right now I'm good to get to the top of this thing. Looks like this PCV recirculation pipe that has to come off, because here are the spark plug coils. Now what I don't know is which one is number 3. It could be this one, or it could be this one. I don't know, coming from left to right or right to left. I'm gonna do an experiment. I'm gonna start the engine, unplug it, and see if I increase my fault from 145 to 146, then I'll know I have the right one. I disconnected the number 1 cylinder, or number 5, I didn't know what it was at the time, to see if I would induce a fault. Then I counted over and removed what I thought would either be number 3 or number 4. One of the two. I was able to determine through processes of elimination, because I'm such a genius, that number 1 cylinder is on your right. No, your left. Yeah, this one. Yeah, the left hand. It's on the clutch side. Anyway, that's number 1, and number 3 is definitely the 3rd one in. So I was able to increase the fault count by 1 on cylinder number 1, and by 1 more on cylinder number 3, which is our problem cylinder. So now I'm gonna see if I can get this PCV, positive crankcase ventilation pipe, off that everybody breaks. Hopefully I don't do that. I just got through wrestling the positive crankcase ventilation tube off, and all the stuff that you read about how brittle and easy it would be to break is true. I'm lucky I didn't break it. Show you what I had to do. I took some PB Blaster and lubricated the rubber garments that it slips into, and then I just used leverage by putting a flathead screwdriver right here and leveraged against the vent casing here, and it looks like my previous mechanic's already been there. You can see some witness marks, so someone has wrestled with this monkey before. But if you're patient, take your time, it will come off. All right, there was a lot of reading about how hard these coils were to get out, and that there was a special tool for it. I didn't encounter any problems. I used a piece of wood here, did some leverage, and be thoroughly honest, this is the 2nd time I put it back. I just want to see if I can get it out. And this puppy came right out of there. No sweat. Don't waste some money on that special tool, in my opinion. OEM BMW coil, you know, just typical BMW stuff. Looks like a high quality, but like any electronic device, it is prone to failure, and this one failed. Bring in the new one. I got this from a company called RMSTATOR. And their business model, if you go on their website, rmstator.com, they say they don't make spare parts. They don't make replacements. They manufacture solutions. Their motto is, we want you to put something in that you're not going to have to replace again. Dimensionally, they're pretty much identical. The only difference I see, this is metal, and so is this. On the OEM, it looks like chrome-plated stainless. This is just regular steel. Let me grab my magnet right quick. That is steel. That is not stainless. The plugs are absolutely identical. OEM, so this should be a direct fit. It also came with a really nice set of decals to go in your toolbox, and some dielectric grease. and a key ring. So they're into their marketing, you know. I like it. This decal, this key ring, and this dielectric grease was about 65 bucks, and they gave me the coil for free. So there we go. All right, I did notice a slight difference in the profile of the socket on the, this is the BMW OEM, and this is the RMSTATOR. I don't believe that's significant. They gave us some dielectric grease. I'm going to put a little bit of that in here to seal that up, and I'm going to put some around here so that it won't be such a wrestling match if I ever have to get it off again. And now she simply goes in.
There's probably an air pocket because when it put the cooler in.
Okay, I have replaced the coil. You guys saw me take all of this stuff apart, so there's no sense in me boring you with putting it back together. If, as before, I run into anything weird, I will slow down and show you what it is. All that stuff has to go back on there. Well, folks, I have got the radiator installed on the bike, and my problem is trying to fill it. Well, I found out that this radiator cap does not come off of here. It turns, it goes to the relief setting, but it doesn't come off. You can't press it, turn it, and make it come out. So if somebody out there can tell me how to get that cap off, probably would have saved me a lot of trouble. I have no idea what the filling procedure is. I tried drawing a vacuum through this bleed hole right here at the coolant pump. That didn't work. I tried blowing air through the reservoir, hopefully to bypass the valve and cause the system to fill up. That didn't work. So I decided to blow air through here. That was a bad decision because once I pressurized it and pulled the nozzle off of there, I got showered with coolant. So don't do that. I have tried filling it through the reservoir. However, the reservoir has to drain through the little check valve on the valve cap, on the radiator cap. This is the thermostat. I tried removing this and blowing air through the thermostat. Same situation. Blew air in, pressurized, comes right back out. Blowing was a bad idea anyway. Don't even know why I went there. So what I ended up doing is breaking out my vacuum pump. As I hooked the vacuum pump up to this tap through a little wedge fitting here. I just shove that into the thermostat housing. Fill the reservoir with coolant using my hand pump here. I'm using the same coolant that came out. I pumped it in there, drew a vacuum, and it started to suck the fluid down in. As you can see, I'm starting to draw coolant out of the thermostat housing now, and I have filled the reservoir, so I think there's enough fluid in the system for me to start the engine. I'm going to pour this into the reservoir and then start the engine and just let the system purge itself. At least that's the theory. Get this screwdriver. You'll see my hand. I've got all the coolant back in. I'm going to fire the bike up and I'm going to refill the reservoir as needed, but I'm going to run it through a heat cycle, let it heat up, let it cool down, suck some of the coolant back into the system, let it purge the air. Hopefully I've got everything plugged in and the only errors I should get are my turn signal errors. That's a new fault light that I had never seen before. BMW. Anyway, Okay, at 220 the fan kicked in, so at least I know I didn't forget to hook that up. While I was running it, letting it purge air, the temperature got up to like 239. I've got my macro lamp on here, so if I look weird, that's why. And while I was waiting for the reservoir to suck down, I was just talking, and next thing I know, that reservoir is empty. I mean, and it did it really quick. I wish I had caught it on video for you guys. So I'm gonna do it again, run it through another heat cycle, and let it purge. I have run the bike through several heat cycles and still have not caused the reservoir to drink itself down like it did the first time. It's held at about 208 to 212 degrees, sitting still right here in the garage. So I'm gonna put everything back together, and then I'll probably take it for a road test. You guys want to go riding tomorrow, so I'll get to test it. I'll either be on the trailer or I'll be riding happy. It's been several days, actually it's been several weeks since I replaced that ignition coil. The engine and cooling system have been through many heat cycles. I have had to add some coolant. There was obviously some air in the system. There was one time I checked the reservoir, and over a period of days, heating and cooling cycles, the level did start to go down. It was sucking more coolant in, probably displacing the air, because I did not bleed the air. As you know from the video, I filled it backward. After looking at several videos, obviously that radiator cap comes off of there. I just did not put enough force on it. My bad, live and learn. I'll know next time. I did have to put some coolant in it. I didn't have to disassemble a lot. About 3 screws off of the front fairing on the right hand side where the cooling reservoir is. Was able to pull the cap, and using a funnel, piece of rubber hose, I was able to add coolant without a whole lot of trouble. Anyway, I'm here now. After some time, the reservoir has stabilized. The engine temperature from the beginning had stabilized, and everything seems to be operating normal. I do stuff, and you can do stuff too if you just take your time and work patiently. Just a little bit of background on how the system works definitely helps. This is Tony, and I do stuff.